So we need to talk about what's going on in USA, and it is so insane. I keep saying the number one question we got to be asking is, where's the money? And I'm serious, where is the money? You see Milei dancing the night away, celebrating the bailout he got from the USA, right? Talking about 40 billion, crazy amounts of cash. And then you got this. This is that same party again. This is like Mar-a-Lago, right? Miami. Trump and the billionaire donor class are all hanging out. And what they're doing is synchronized swimming, of all things. It says Mar-a-Lago guests watching synchronized swimmers performing to God Bless America. What? And I've been telling you guys all along that we're in a South Park timeline. But when I was watching this, I'm like, no, this is more like Simpsons timeline. If you guys ever watch The Simpsons, they would always make synchronized swimming jokes. It is like, it doesn't even seem real. And I'm not even that creative enough to make this stuff up because it would be unbelievable, right? If I said, hey guys, they're sending billions of dollars to Argentina while Americans starve, and they're having parties with synchronized swimmers. Like it doesn't sound real, right? Yet there it is happening. And so like, how do we even talk about this crazy crap going on in USA? I don't even know. I have never lived through something like this, to be frank. I mean, I've seen it in the movies, but not in real life. That's why it's crazy. Then we got this, that they're betting on the government shutdown. When, I guess, how long could this go? When will the government shutdown end? So I guess predicted November 20th is the current bet, but who knows? My gut on this one is like, maybe they'll try to get something before Thanksgiving. And then you got this, which is like, I'll just be frank. It's sad. It's sick. I just don't know what to say. I'll just tell you what it is. Indiana cleaning lady fatally shot after showing up at the wrong home. Now we're going after cleaning ladies, I guess, or something. Right? You can just see it. Indiana cleaning lady fatally shot after showing up at the wrong home. You can listen to the details of this. It's hard to go through this stuff, guys, but I do want you to show you what's going on. Have a listen.
Of her husband, who says she fell into my arms and I saw the blood. It was everywhere. Her husband telling affiliate WRTV that they came to the U.S. from Guatemala 4 years ago. Their youngest child is only 11 months. While the shooter has not been identified, the coroner's office ruling the manner of death a homicide, resulting from a gunshot wound to the head. The prosecutor still deciding whether or not to file charges. Indiana has a strong stand-your-ground law, which allows homeowners to use reasonable force if they believed it necessary to prevent death or harm. But a neighbor isn't sure it applies here.
It shouldn't have happened, Don't shoot first, ask questions later. Just don't sit here and take it upon yourself to shoot some innocent person.
Now, the investigative team here at ABC spoke to the prosecutor in this case, and he said that this is a hard decision to make, weighing whether it was reasonable for the homeowner to use deadly force, believing the cleaner could have been an intruder. As of now, still no charges filed.
Like, how do we even make sense of any of this stuff, When I heard the neighbors say, don't just shoot first, ask questions later, but that's sort of the culture of where the U.S. is right now. We're just, prejudging stuff and, hey, I got a gun, I'm just going to start shooting. And I was thinking about through the scenario, and we'll get more details, as this story breaks. This is just a couple minutes ago this came out. But, if it was our cleaning lady, chances are she would have been by herself. Chances are this has been the middle of the day, like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, just something like that. The cleaning lady's not going to show up at, midnight. It's not going to be like that. And in that situation, I'm shooting through my door at someone. Like it doesn't add up. And they even showed the neighborhood. Like a single person, unless we get more details, and it was like, a bunch of people. But I don't think so. It doesn't sound like that at all. I mean, they said it shot through the door and like hit her in the head. And it's upsetting. I'll just be frank. It's upsetting. And then they said they won't identify the shooter at this stage. We're not going to file charges. But this is the stuff that's going on in USA. And I think a lot of it is, acting without thinking, I guess it's one way to put it. And if you have too many guns is what is in USA. As frank, there's just too many guns. And then you go in this society to where, from Trump and the donors class point of view, right, all the billionaires, they just want basically the people underneath them, all the regular people, just to fight each other and not think about, hey, how can we build a system that sustains and is beneficial to everyone? not just the people at the top. But the people at the top are laughing right now. They're literally partying with synchronized swimmers. That's why I had to show you, like, you have to put it all together. Like, you're really getting a divide between the rich and the poor. And you say the wealth gap just keeps increasing. And then this is also like the same day. This is our news today. 3 people were shot dead at a landscape supply company in San Antonio, Texas, early Saturday. The suspect is down, right? Looks like he hurt himself or herself. We don't know for sure, but like, how do you even make sense of this news? And I know there's a shooting every day in USA. I know that. We talked about this before on the channel, but today in particular is really disturbing because the types of ones that we're talking about. So, for example, someone took a shot at the U.S. Border Patrol, right? Probably ICE people or something. And then after that, there's a bunch of protests, and this is in Chicago. And I don't know what to make any of this stuff, and that's the problem. It's because everyone's so, unhinged right now. Everyone's feeling really tense, and then you add on into the culture where you have food insecurity. My first thing that my wife said, Yeji, because we talked about this before on the channel, is like, if you put anyone, it doesn't matter which country, into these kind of situations, right? People start to lose their minds, and it's hard to keep a cool head. And this is where leadership really matters. I mean, it really matters. You want to be like, hey, let's figure out how we can fix these problems together. But the Trump and their plan is, hey, let's go party with synchronized swimmers and try to, govern by tweeting. And then he like, as we talk about in the other, other videos where he's like, hey guys, we're going to have 50-year mortgages. Great. Be in debt forever. Or, hey, let's abolish insurance and let's abolish Obamacare. Let's not have anything. Let's do everything in cash. Like, none of it really makes sense. And then clearly people are going to be just about protesting all the time because they feel angry, and it's a systemic thing. It's not just like one or two things. It's like all over the place. And then we just start going after each other while the rich people are laughing. And then I want you to listen to this. This is something that Cory Booker posted. This is regarding what's going on in our court system. Listen to this stuff.
ICE took 7 people from my court today. 7 people. And this isn't anything new. ICE posts up outside of the courthouse that I work in every Friday in their unmarked vehicles, and they take people every single Friday. But today was different. Today, ICE had a plainclothes officer in the courthouse, and basically she was listening for names, listening for Spanish speakers, and she was coming into the courtroom, and at certain points she was even taking photos of people's faces, and then she would leave, she would go out into the hallway, and she would start texting, and then as soon as that person went up, they were detained. Later on, one of the attorneys who represents one of these people asked to see the warrant that ICE needs to have to take one of these people, and they did not produce the warrant, and they threatened him with charges. It has gotten so bad that people who work in my office, citizens who work in my office, are afraid to go to court because they're afraid they will be detained because of the color of their skin or the fact that they speak Spanish. And the most sickening part about it is that this plainclothes officer was giddy, was laughing about it, about tearing people away from their families, about kidnapping people who are trying to participate in the legal.
Yeah, you guys understand. And it's really honestly hard to talk about this stuff on a daily basis with you. It's really hard, but we have to let people know what's going on. And some things you have to see with your own eyes, you have to hear with your own ears, right? And there's a couple of things going on all at the same time right now. So one is there are certainly people out there in USA who are looking to make things better. That part's real. And then there are other people out in USA, being the Trump, and he's trying to get everyone else to be like, hey, let's create a system that only benefits billionaires and let's tear everything down that benefits regular people. And then he convinces regular people that it's good for them. And that's why you have to show the parties while they're laughing, while basically people in USA attack each other. I mean, you can see it. And then they don't do things properly. Like, these people don't have warrants. And then there'll be a situation to where let's arrest anyone. And then even U.S. citizens are like, man, I speak Spanish. I'm worried about getting picked up by ICE. I completely understand like how stressful this is. Because you may or may not know my particular story. I was born in Vietnam. My family lost my family at the end of the war, and the U.S. military took me to the USA. I had no choice in the matter. It's a long story. If you want to find details, you can see in my book and things. I just tell you, it's a long story. It's hard to explain all of it so easily, but I know how it feels to be in USA. If people judge you just because you look a certain way or talk a certain way, and I know exactly how it is. And that's why like this whole thing devolving into violence is completely awful. And then you're just adding on more stress on the people because now they're worried about whether or not they can even put food on the table. We got food lines, say people aren't getting paid. I want you to listen to a representative congressperson talking about this. This is regarding contract workers. Listen to this.
Hey y'all, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley here in the House cafeteria. This is a place that normally is teeming with people, buzzing with activity, visitors from all over the country, dedicated congressional staff, federal workers, and members of Congress who are coming here to get a bite to eat or to meet with a constituent. But it's quiet because we're in a Republican-manufactured government shutdown. And one of the things that keeps this place humming, that's really essential to keeping us running, are the dedicated food service workers, our custodians, and our security workers who keep this place going, who keep us going. They're some of the hardest working, but the lowest paid. Earlier today I met with 40 federally contracted workers from the National Gallery of Art to the House cafeteria to the Library of Congress. Some of them just started 6 months ago. Some of them have been there 40 plus years. They take pride in their work. They love what they do.
And I just want to show you a little bit of this. I'm going to watch some more here, but I just want to show you a little bit of this because it's always a good reminder of just the average person just wants to put food on the table. They want to, go to their work, come home, enjoy time with their family, with their friends. And, the way Trump is, tearing down the country is basically tearing down the way that we respect people. Like the most basic thing is someone comes to work, they go home, you pay them for a good day of work. That's like just basic respect. You respect people's time, you respect people's efforts, right? And I think for anyone who's out there who've ever had a job, you know how it feels to be disrespected at work. I mean, just imagine if you weren't getting paid. And in these situations, the workers, these are the more contractors, don't have protections at all. And that's why I want to hear more description. And also, I like to show you like people who are sane. For me, it's comforting, and I know how you feel, how it is. Like every day you feel like, the Trump is just sending us all into crazy land. But it's important to stay sane and just be reminded of that. That's why I was really comforted by this representative. Like, hey, I come here and lots of people come in the cafeteria, and this is like what normally functions like this. And anyone who's, in your community, I always recommend this, be it the grocery store or the post office or wherever you go. Like always be kind and treat other people with respect, like add positivity to the world. And that's why I was saying, I think the negative culture that Trump is creating is like this tear down of respect. You see it also between other countries, something we talk about on the channel. Listen a little bit more of this about what she says about the contractors.
They wish they were working right now, but we're in a government shutdown with the exception of a handful of people. They've been told to stay home, and they're going without pay. And unlike federal employees who have the protections signed into law to receive their back pay when we come out of this Republican-manufactured government shutdown, there are no protections for our federally contracted workers, again, who are some of the hardest working, the most dedicated, and the lowest paid. And that's why I've reintroduced my Fair Pay for Federal Contractors Act, a bipartisan, bicameral bill that will ensure that our low-wage food service workers, our custodians, and security workers receive back pay. Look, y'all, I'm not fighting for charity. I'm fighting for reciprocity. This is the very least we can do for these dedicated, this dedicated workforce that does so much for all of us. It's just a matter of what's right.
And honestly, it's really hard to quantify all of the people that are affected by Donald Trump's shutdown, right? People aren't going to work, people aren't getting paid, people are waiting in food lines, and he's off partying with synchronized swimmers of all things. It's like, it doesn't even feel real because it's just so egregious. It's like the stuff you read in history books about the Great Depression, where we're literally seeing it live. I just don't know what to say other than I just try my best to show you what's going on. I think that's just the most honest thing to do, just show people what's going on. So please be careful out there, and I'll catch you on the next video.